In the quiet corner of a forgotten street lived an 82-year-old woman named Eleanor. Her house, small and weathered by time, stood as a silent testament to a life lived in the shadows. To the neighbors, she was just a kind old lady, a gentle soul, who offered a warm smile but never a glimpse into her past. They saw her as harmless, quiet, another forgotten figure in the rush of modern life. But behind those gentle eyes lay a story, a universe of unspoken words and promises whispered to the wind. Eleanor's solitude wasn't a choice of circumstance. It was a fortress she had built, brick by brick, to guard a secret she had carried for over 60 years. The world saw a simple, aging woman, but within her heart, she was the keeper of a legend, a love story so profound it had the power to redefine courage and sacrifice. Little did anyone know, the most remarkable story of their town was hidden right there, behind the creaking door of Eleanor's little old house. One bright afternoon, a knock echoed through Eleanor's quiet home. Standing on her porch was a young journalist, notebook in hand, with a friendly, eager smile. He was working on a local series about life wisdom from our elders and had heard about the kind old lady on the corner. He asked if she might be willing to share a few thoughts, a small piece of her long life for his column. At first, Eleanor hesitated. Her life was a closed book, its pages yellowed and stuck together with the glue of time and sorrow. She had never shared her real story with anyone, not a single soul. The thought of reopening those chapters was terrifying. But as she looked at the young journalist's earnest face, something inside her stirred. Perhaps it was the weight of carrying her secret for so long, or perhaps she saw a chance, a final opportunity, for a forgotten promise to find its voice. With a slow, deliberate nod, she invited him in. "I have a story," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "one I've never told before." As they sat in her cozy living room, surrounded by faded photographs and trinkets from another era, Eleanor began to transport the young journalist back in time. 60 years ago, she wasn't the frail woman he saw before him. She was a vibrant young woman, full of laughter and dreams, and her world revolved around a man named Thomas. Thomas was her everything, her first love, her best friend, her future. He was a man with adventure in his eyes and a map of the world etched in his heart. He promised her everything: moonlit dances in Paris, sunsets over the Serengeti, the thrill of exploring ancient ruins together. Their future was a beautiful, sprawling canvas waiting to be painted with the colors of their shared adventures. Eleanor believed in these promises with every fiber of her being. Their love felt infinite, unbreakable. But one day, the world they had built together simply vanished. Thomas disappeared. There was no note, no explanation, no goodbye. He was just gone, leaving behind a silence that screamed louder than any argument. The promises they had made turned to dust, and Eleanor's heart shattered into a million pieces. The world told her to move on, to forget the boy with the wild dreams. So, she did. Or at least, she tried. She packed away her adventurous spirit, locked up her dreams of seeing the world, and chose a different path. She married a kind, steady man, built a family, and lived a life that was, by all accounts, safe. Her life had structure, routine, and a quiet sense of duty. But beneath the surface of this respectable existence, a deep unfillable void remained. Every night, she would look at the moon and wonder what had happened to Thomas. Did he find his adventures? Did he ever think of her? The life she built was a sturdy ship, but it was sailing on a shallow sea. The deep, exhilarating waters of the life she was promised with Thomas became a distant, painful memory. She had everything a person was supposed to want, yet she felt a profound emptiness. A quiet mourning for the vibrant, fearless girl she had been, and for the love that had been stolen from her without a reason. The question of why haunted her for decades, a ghost that lived in the quiet corners of her heart. The young journalist listened, completely captivated, as Eleanor's story unfolded. He thought he understood the tragic classic tale of heartbreak and abandonment. But then, Eleanor leaned forward, and her voice dropped to a conspiratorial whisper. "Here is the part I never told anyone," she said, her eyes locking onto his. "I knew why Thomas left." The journalist was stunned. All these years, everyone, including Thomas's own family, believed he had simply run away. But Eleanor revealed the truth. The day he disappeared was the day of the Great Factory Fire, a forgotten local disaster that had been briefly mentioned in old newspapers. While official reports blamed faulty wiring and praised a few firefighters, the full story was never told. Thomas, who worked nearby, had run into the collapsing building, not once, but 3 times, pulling people out of the smoke and flames. On his final trip, he didn't make it back. He had sacrificed himself to save lives, but his heroism was never recognized. An official, worried about a panic, had covered it up, listing him as a missing person who likely fled town. Eleanor had learned the truth from a dying witness weeks later, who made her promise to keep it a secret to protect his own family from trouble. For 60 years, she had carried this incredible burden alone. The immense pride in the hero she loved, and the crushing grief of a sacrifice the world never knew. Tears welled up in Eleanor's eyes, but her voice was steady. She looked at the journalist, her gaze filled with a wisdom that only time and sorrow can bestow. Life, she began, doesn't always give us the journeys we plan. It doesn't hand us the neatly wrapped happy endings we dream of as children. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle in the quiet room. I wanted to travel the world with Thomas. Instead, I traveled through 60 years of silence, grief, and solitude. But here's the lesson I learned. Life gives us what we need. It gives us reasons to grow, to find strength we never knew we had. It teaches us to forgive not just others, but ourselves, for the choices we make and the paths we couldn't take. She spoke of resilience, of how the deepest wounds can teach us the most profound lessons. She explained that true closure isn't about getting answers or rewriting the past. It's about accepting the story as it is, finding peace in the memory, and cherishing the love that was real, no matter how brief. Her love for Thomas wasn't a tragedy. It was the anchor that taught her the true meaning of courage and sacrifice. The young journalist was speechless. He had come looking for a simple quote about gardening or baking, and instead, he had stumbled upon one of the greatest love stories he had ever heard. This wasn't just a story. It was a testament to the quiet strength of the human heart. He looked at Eleanor, no longer seeing a frail old woman, but a guardian of history, a silent hero in her own right. He promised her, with a conviction that resonated with sincerity, that he would not let Thomas's bravery or her long vigil be forgotten. He would tell their story, not just as a local news piece, but as an inspiration for the world. For the first time in what felt like a lifetime, a genuine, radiant smile spread across Eleanor's face. It was a smile of release, of validation, of peace. The weight she had carried for so long had finally been lifted. Her story, and the memory of the man she loved, would finally matter. In sharing her whispered promise, she had found her own voice, and in doing so, had finally set herself free. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales that remind us of the quiet power hidden all around us.